I offer my most loving pranams at the divine lotus feet of our most beloved Swami. Brothers and sisters, Sai Ram, and welcome to this post-lunch session of our service mini retreat. I'm sure you'll all agree there's probably no better way to get rid of the post-lunch syndrome than by hearing our beloved Swami's divine voice. Brothers and sisters, I don't know how many of you had a chance to look at these beautiful oil paintings, but for those who did take a close look at these, I'm sure you'll all agree that these are indeed wonderful. The artist of these paintings, I'm told, resides on the outskirts of Puttaparthi. So how about a real loud applause so he can hear it out there? And also, how about we express some gratitude to those who were instrumental in providing us food today. We're having a wonderful service mini retreat. We had a very inspiring talk by Dr. Hari Kanjiv Ram. And as Sister Preeti mentioned in the morning, Swami really has allowed his love to flow to our region. And he has sent Brother Fize Mohammed from Trinidad and Tobago. He's made this trip from there only to be with all of us. I have no doubt he's done this only because of his love for our beloved Swami. Brother Fize came to Swami in 1979, and ever since then he has made a trip to see our beloved Swami almost every year. And during these many visits, he was blessed with a lot of guidance and personal interactions from our beloved Swami. He was also blessed to speak in Swami's immediate divine presence on a few occasions. One of them was the World Youth Conference in 1999. And Trinidad and Tobago blessed him to serve as their national spiritual coordinator and also their national youth coordinator. I request you to please join me in giving a very loving welcome to Brother Fize.
I offer my most loving and humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of my dear Mother Sai, Bhagavan Shri Satya Sai Baba, embodiments of the divine Atma, embodiments of divine love. Om Shri Sai Ram. A'udhu billahi minash shaitan nirajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I begin in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Not a blade of grass moves, and this majestic avatar has not willed it so. And I know it is only because of his divine orchestration that we are gathered in his loving and divine presence. And I thoroughly enjoyed the morning session. What a wonderful expression of loving service by Brother Hari. I think he deserves another wonderful round of applause. It is difficult for a speaker to speak and hold the attention when you've just eaten. So I want to share one or two jokes with you. You know, in Trinidad, Trinidadians sometimes take shortcuts. Sometimes we try to outsmart the law. This Trini came into contact with God. He met God in heaven and he said, God, how much is $1 worth in heaven? And God said, $1 is worth $1 million. And he said, God, how much is 1 second worth in heaven? And God said, 1 second is worth 1 million years. So he paused for a little while, trying to outsmart God. He said, God, can I have $1? And God paused a while and said, can you wait 1 second? It is said that a Trinidadian mother invented the internet. You see, in Trinidad, when a mother would call her daughter, she would shorten the name daughter to Dot. So she would say, Dot, come. Dot, come. And then Dot, come came. I know we have children and young adults, so I like to share. In our Bal Vikas in Trinidad, sometimes we have a 5-minute humor period where the children research value-based jokes and they share it with the class. So this child came up one day and said, she reached to school late. So the teacher said, Amrita, why did you reach to school late? She said, sir, while I was walking, I saw a sign that said, school ahead, go slow. So I slowed down. This one is about a mosquito. A little baby mosquito was about to take its first flight. So he went to his father and he said, Dad, I'm ready for my first flight. The father gave the blessings and pushed him off the building. And he's flying all through the streets, having a great time. And after a few minutes, he comes back. And his father said, son, how was your first flight? He said, Dad, wherever I went, people were so happy for me. They were only clapping for me. One Swami was walking on the ladies' side. There were 45 Trinidadians in that group. A huge lady got up and said, Swami, Swami, interview, interview. Bhagwan looks at her very wickedly and says, where will you pass? Interview room door? He reaches on the gents' side and one of the gents gets up and said, Swami, Swami, when are you leaving? He does like this. Ask the ladies, they know everything. My dear friends, if a definition were to be given of what the Sri Satya Sai Baba organization is, one definition could be, among others, that it is a spiritual organization engaging itself in selfless service to awaken the divinity within. And the joy of service was so beautifully articulated by Brother Hari this morning. What has Swami said about service? He says in one beautiful sentence, hands that help are holier than lips that pray. A pure thought from a pure heart is better than a mantra. You need offer God only two things, a pure heart and selfless service. So great is the Avatar's emphasis on service that he says, if while you're engaged in japa and meditation and someone comes and knocks at your door, you are to leave the japa and meditation and go and serve that person. The spiritual benefits so derived from the service will be much greater than the hour or two you may have spent in prayer. Bhagwan says, when it comes to talking, many of us are heroes. When it comes to translating it into practice, we are zeros. 1 hour of community service, he says, is better than 1 month of meditation. Such is the emphasis on service. Bhagwan says it is the most effective means of shattering the ego. And he further tells us, I am not interested in the quantity of the service, but in the quality. And there's a beautiful story in Islam that brings this lesson to light. There was a Muslim believer who used to go to the mosque 5 times a day. In Islam, there are 5 cardinal principles: giving charity, fasting, the 5 daily namaz, pilgrimage to Mecca, and believing in the oneness of Allah. And this particular believer had done all consistently for many years. And so as he sat in the mosque thinking that he would obtain the first place in heaven, having practiced the 5 cardinal principles, he overhears 2 angels above his head having a conversation. And they were saying that there is one believer by the name of Mehboob who would sit on the right-hand side of Allah in heaven. And this disturbed him. Not me. He went into the village to see who this Mehboob was. And he hid behind a tree and observed that this was a simple shoemaker. And as he observed during the day what the shoemaker did, as he was mending his shoes, all he was be saying, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. God is great, God is great. Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Glory be to Allah. While he is mending his shoes, chanting the name, remembering Allah. But there is one act that the angel said, one act of selfless service that Mehboob did that allowed him to attain first place in heaven. With every day's earnings, he will take a little and set it aside for charity. What was this charity? His wife loved a particular dish, a delicacy. And so he saved enough money to buy her this particular food on her birthday. So every day as he chanted the name of Allah, he would take a little bit of his earnings and set it aside. When he had obtained enough, he went on the eve of her birthday and brought this beautiful, delicious dish. But as he was journeying back home, he heard the pangs of someone in need. At the side of the road was a beggar, crying out for someone to help. He had not eaten a meal for days. He had not drank anything. He was dressed in tattered rags. He smelled badly. And as Mehboob passed with the dish, the beggar got a whiff of what was in it and cried out in agony for some. Mehboob's heart melted. And knowing Almighty Allah and striving to please him, he took that bowl of food and sat in front of the beggar, and with his own hands, he fed him. And there was joy that knew no bounds, and tears of gratitude that flowed from the beggar's eyes. And that one act, my dear friends, allowed Mehboob to attain first place in heaven. Bhagwan says, when you serve, you should be grateful to God for providing the opportunity to be of service so that you may shatter your ego. Never feel that you are the doer. Swami says, I have provided the opportunity. I have given you the talent, the skill, the education. Why should you take credit? He says, it is simply one form of God placing a gift in another form of God's hands. Service should allow us to shatter the ego and to feel a sense of oneness with those that we serve. Swami says, give until it hurts. We should come out of our comfort zone and serve when there is a need, and that is spontaneous service. It brings to mind another story. Shri Ajneesh is one of Bhagwan's students, a wonderful singer. And while in Trinidad, he shared this experience with us. In 1991, when the super specialty hospital was being built, Swami had a deadline for it to be completed. There were some problems with the laborers, and so a few of the students went to Swami and they prayed, Bhagwan, please, let us serve. We want the deadline that you have set to be met. And Swami told them, no. What would your parents say? You'll have come to Satyasai University and I'm giving you work. But they persisted relentlessly. And Swami said, Acha, I give 1 month. And so this group of students in the blistering, sweltering heat of Puttaparthi, with gloves on their hand, would tote cement buckets and put up blocks and do whatever what was required. Ajneesh was part of that team, taking buckets of cement, hours per day. After they had completed, Swami called the group and allowed them to sing. But Ajneesh's fingers were so cramped because of holding the heavy cement buckets for many a day, as he put his hand to chord the organ, the harmonium, he couldn't even bend his fingers. And as he's there struggling, Swami looked straight into his eyes and said, I will never forget you. When you serve the Lord with love, expecting nothing in return, He blesses us bountifully. When you serve with a sincere heart, the gift that He deposits in your heart is Himself. Swami in the compendium talks about active service and passive service. And he once told the devotee, if it is your service to be serene, radiating love and good thoughts, that is true seva. My dear friends, we have seen in Prashanti Nilayam, Bhagwan materialized the sacred ash. He's been able to multiply food. He has converted water into petrol. He can speak any language. He knows the past, present and future of every single thing and every single one in the universe. The amount of food that he consumes is not enough to even keep a tiny babe alive. There are at least 3 documented cases where he has brought the dead back to life. But yet Swami says those are incidental to my mission. My greatest miracle is the miracle of the inner transformation that takes place in the hearts of millions when they are touched by His most powerful weapon, that of divine love. Bhagwan has reiterated so many times that all that I want from you is a pure heart and selfless service. The most valuable of all acquisitions a spiritual aspirant can strive for is a good character. Doesn't that represent the end product of all our sadhanas? That it must manifest itself in thought, word and deed on a divine and spiritual level. A devotee once asked Bhagwan, Swami, what can I do to change the world? And he said, forget the world and change yourself. The most powerful influence we can have to create a better society, to serve the world, to create a better world, is to be a good example. Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. And when you look at the components of the development of character and what Swami has said about it, is the most amazing phenomena of selfless service. Swami says the very first thing in developing character is that you must have good thoughts. With every thought, it produces a vibration that produces energy that connects with similar types of energy. When you think a good thought, you are creating a better society. Harold Sherman, a scientist of yesteryear, said, when we think a negative thought and that negative vibration goes out into the atmosphere, if you multiply that by 4, 5, 6 billion souls, after a while, the total mass conglomeration of negative energy causes an imbalance in nature and causes Mother Nature to rebel in the form of earthquakes and disasters and tsunamis. So mankind is responsible for this chaotic state that we have found ourselves in. Bhagwan says you can change it by changing your thoughts. Change your thoughts and you can change your habits. Change your thoughts, you can change your destiny. Change your thoughts, you can change your life. Swami says in the compendium, had it not been for the mind change of Sai devotees, the world would have been in utter chaos. So every time you chant his name, every time you do seva, every time you do bhajans, beautiful, healing, positive vibrations go out into the atmosphere and influence the conscious energy around us. So from good thoughts will flow good actions. And in good actions we can make a difference. From good actions flow good habits. And if you look at the word habit, H-A-B-I-T, when you develop bad habits, it's very difficult to remove. If you develop pure positive habits, it's beneficial to the society. Habits, H-A-B-I-T, if you take off the H, you have a bit. If you take off the A, you have bit. If you take off the B, you still have it. So let us develop pure, beneficial, loving habits. And Bhagwan says like accumulation of good habits will create a good character. And a person with a good character can create their own destiny. How powerful is this, my dear friends? The first of the 9-point code of conduct that Bhagwan has given is what? Daily japa and meditation. You see, if you look closely at the 9-point code of conduct, Swami has so designed it that it first deals with the individual transformation. The second code of conduct is what? Prayers or bhajans with members of the family once a week. So from the individual, it comes to the family. From the family, it goes into the society. Swami says, if there is righteousness in the heart, there will be beauty in the character. If there is beauty in the character, there will be harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, there will be order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. As the Christian hymn says, if there be peace in the world, let it begin with me. I'll share an example of how powerful daily sharpened meditation is. And how powerful just thinking good thoughts, the effect it can have on creating a better society. In an island called Rhode Island, there had 3 major problems. There was major suicide, motor vehicle accidents, and murders. They were on the increase. They took 300 adepts in meditation and divided them into 75 groups of 4 people each and spread them across the whole island. And every day for 1 month, they meditated 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. And then they remeasured the results. It was astounding. The murders decreased by 57%. The motor vehicle accidents by 62%. And the suicides by 73%. And they accrued all of this to the beautiful, positive, pure vibrations that emanated during this period of meditation. My dear friends, you see how powerful we can become. So each one of us, we have a sacred and divine responsibility to create a better society. If we take ownership for our own space and be the best we can be, if we do good, be good, see good, if we have good thoughts, good actions, good character, we can truly create a better society with every passing moment. That is the power of Satya Sai. He says, I am transforming the world one individual at a time. I was requested a little bit to share some of the service activities that we do in the twin island of Trinidad and Tobago, with the hope that it will inspire us to continue to perform selfless service. Remember the mission of Sai. He has come to give, not to take. His message, his life is a continuous flow of divine love manifesting in selfless service. Trinidad and Tobago has 1.2 million people, and we have 52 Sai Baba centers in almost every village in the country. In Trinidad and Tobago, we build a house every single Sunday morning in 6 to 8 hours. You can go to a Sai Baba satsang in Trinidad every single day of the week. We have 4 radio stations that broadcast the life, birth and teachings of Bhagwan every single week for 1 hour. There are 2 national television stations that screen the films of Bhagwan twice per week. So whether you like it or not, Satya Sai Baba is in your face. Everybody knows who Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba is, whether you like it or not. There are medical camps, beach cleanups, hospital visits, scholarship drives. And I'd like to show a little bit, and I know Brother Hari has done it so lovingly with the Haiti project. When Dr. Michael Goldstein saw the house building in Trinidad, and in relation to the project being done in Haiti, and after having obtained Swami's permission, requested members of the Satya Sai organization in Trinidad to assist with all our other brothers and sisters, especially in the construction of houses, the medical camps, and distribution of food boxes. So about 35 of us journeyed to Haiti, and we spent about 7 days, and in 5 days, through Bhagwan's will and grace, we were able to build 4 houses in 5 days. Houses that could withstand hurricane winds of 125 miles per hour. The medical camp that we worked so lovingly with our American brothers and sisters was seen about 1,000 patients during the course of that week. And devotees, a miracle happened on that trip. Brother Fize was made a pharmacist in a day or two. And we distributed 2,500 food boxes. So I'd like to share a little bit of this with you. I'm not familiar too much with the technology. So this is the group that went to Haiti. This is our central coordinator, and this was our president, and this group journeyed to Haiti. These are some of the destruction, very heart-rendering government buildings, all destroyed. These were where people were sheltered. No water, no toilet facilities. And we actually saw when a high wind blew, the tents would actually go up into the air. It would really break your heart when you go into the villages. This is where thousands slept. A family of 8 or 9 would be fitted in that particular tent, scarcely able to move. This was a church so graciously given to the Satyasai organization to conduct the medical camp. Loving priest. He was so touched by what was being done. A most amazing story happened with this child. The lady who brought this child, when the child was born, was placed in a dustbin. This lady took the child and took care of the child and brought the child to the medical camp to get a checkup. This is a school children that we fed every day hot meals. They were so grateful and happy to have these meals. And these doctors, as Brother Hari was showing before, conducting the medical camps. This was the only center in Haiti, and we were allowed to stay at this home. It was a great privilege. This was a makeshift school because the schools were destroyed. They just threw a tent and a piece of curtain and school was carried on. This is the day we were distributing 2,500 food boxes to the villagers in need. This was on top of a hill where the breeze was so strong, it was literally blowing you off your feet. And then the rains came. And then this is the end when we did a satsang after all the houses were built and the projects were completed. We were giving Swami thanks for creating this wonderful divine opportunity for us. This is one of the houses that was built in Haiti. But I want to show you what happens in Trinidad as well. This is a deserving case of a house ready to fall if a heavy gust of wind blows. This is a family of 6 living in this home. And after doing our little survey and identifying the need, we agreed to build a house for this family. So the first thing that is done is that this is a concrete cement foundation that is casted 1 week before and allowed to cure and dry. And then the next Sunday, the buildings start to go up. These are steel frames, and these are prefabricated walls. And there are about 30 devotees here. And within 6 hours, the entire house is put up. This is the finished product. They provided electricity and water. Curtains, the whole house is fully furnished. And the love of Swami is so transforming that the 30 devotees, we sit in the house and we do bhajans and we bless the house for them. And many occasions, this same family, because of that contagious power of Swami's love, they are transformed. they become believers and sigh, because no one has ever yet done this for them, and they attach themselves to the nearest Sai center. That is the power of selfless service with Bhagwan's grace. My dear friends, I want to end by sharing with you the words of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba himself. And contained in what is to be heard are valuable guidelines to devotees of how we must render selfless service. Swami says, your mission has begun. These are my words to you, my devotees. Each of you have a unique and valuable part to play in this lifetime. Only those whom I have called can serve me. My mission has now reached that point in time when each of you now has work to do. This planet Earth has a purpose in the great galaxy in which it is held. That purpose is now unfolding itself before our very eyes. Allow yourselves to impart the purity of heart within to all living creatures and human beings, but do not reach for the fruits of your work. This part of my mission is performed in absolute silence. Be always aware that the moment you allow your ego to descend upon you, my work ceases. When you have overcome your negative unmindfulness, you will again become my source. The multiplication of my love will be felt throughout the world. I have prepared you for this work over many incarnations. My work is ceaseless, and so your work too is without end. Know that I am within you, and without you there is no difference. Rid yourselves of petty matters forevermore. My darshan will pour forth from me to and through you. You may be unaware of this constant action. Be ever pure in heart and soul, and mankind in your lifetime will benefit from your unique qualities. The time is fast approaching when all of humanity will live together as one in harmony. That time will be here sooner than one expects. Before it arrives, be prepared to do whatever is necessary to reveal to every single living thing the true purpose of existence. It is not something that anyone alive can imagine. It is not something that anyone can try to aspire to. It is beyond human comprehension. I can only tell you that its beauty is magnificent beyond all dreams. And as each of you perform your silent work, I will embrace you to my heart. And henceforth your souls shall be lifted up. Your faces shall reveal my presence within. This I say to you, my devotees, from the Lord's mountaintop, where all the universes become one. Be about my work, my beloved bhaktas. Your breath will carry the scent of the blossoms of heaven. Your example will be that of angels. Your joy will be my joy. The loving, compassionate words of Mother Sai. He who has the love of 1,000 mothers, who says, take one step towards me, I shall take 10 towards you. Shed one tear in my name, and I will wipe 100 from your eyes. Bring me the depths of your mind, no matter how grotesque, how cruelly ravaged by doubts or disappointments. I know how to treat them, for I am your mother, and I will never, never let you go. Join me as I sing this song, devotees, and bring this message to an end. This is a song that incorporates the values that are the very basis of Bhagwan's teachings. Love, peace, righteousness, and truth. 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 Holy Spirit, dwelling in a soul. Love, peace, righteousness, and truth. May Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba, our Divine Mother and Father, continue to bless and guide each and every one of us. And as we continue to strive to put His teachings into practice, may our loving, heartfelt and fervent prayer be that we would ceaselessly strive to be wonderful examples of His divine love. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, Brother Fize. Heartful gratitude for those words that inspired us to begin the change with ourselves first. And thank you for that strong reminder. Now we move on to the next segment of today's program. We're going to have a panel discussion. This panel will be moderated by our own Edith Villa. Edith is a journalist. She's a media relations person, consultant, an arts reviewer, and this last part of her job assignment I like the best. She's an international travel writer. She gets to visit cool places and write about them. She also serves as the Region 2 service article collector for an upcoming website, Love in Action. By Swami's grace, she was one of the fortunate ones to be in Haiti and serve Swami in all the people that were there. She was part of the Team 9 that went from USA. And last year, she also helped us out tremendously with Walk for Values, raising awareness of this walk amongst our community members. So if I can request Edith to come up and get our panelists together. Sana.
Sairam, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's panel discussion. I give my sincere thanks and love to Sri Satya Sai Baba, who in His infinite grace has allowed me to be here today. I know that we are all very excited about hearing from our distinguished guests and panelists, who I know will share some insight into how we all can better serve with more humility and grace. Joining us on this panel is Dr. Harry Jibram from Michigan, who you heard from earlier, who gave a terrific speech. He serves as a regional president and medical director for Region 5 USA. He also is a member of the International Medical Committee of the Sri Satya Sai organization. Dr. Ganesh Yadlapalli from Cincinnati is the coordinator of the Sri Satya Sai International Center for Medical Services and the Sri Satya Sai International Medical Camps, and also the medical director for Region 1 USA. He was instrumental in publishing a medical textbook to educate physicians practicing in developing countries. This, one of the first medical textbooks to be dedicated to our beloved Swami, was blessed by Swami during his 85th birthday celebrations. Dr. Indira Hewlett from Washington, D.C. came to Swami's fold at 6 years of age in 1960 and received Swami's guidance through the many personal interactions she was blessed to have. Swami advised her in her career choice to be a scientist and led her to the current position in the U.S. FDA, where she has worked for more than 25 years. Dr. Fize Mohammed, who I'm sure you all just really enjoyed, is from Trinidad and Tobago, and he became a member of the Sri Satya Sai Baba organization in 1979. By his grace, he has had an opportunity to participate in science service around the world, and also has served as the National Youth Coordinator and the National Spiritual Coordinator of Trinidad and Tobago. Let's give him a great, great hand. We'd like to open up this panel discussion by having all of the panelists to relate some of their experiences in the divine presence, if possible. And we can start on the left, to my right, your left.
Hello, everyone. You know, if you look at it, over the past 1 year has been like a major change in our lives. You know, with the departure of Swami from his physical body. But if you look at it, I'll just give you a few slides just to give the glimpses of what Swami's life has been. Swami's life has been. First, the Swami, declared himself that he is a God. And then, as a result, most of us, who are the fortunate, was able to go to Swami and have a darshan of Swami, have a sparshan, darshan, and sambhashana. And then, what Swami did is amazing is, then we realized that, okay, his life is his message. Then the things happen. Then what Swami did is, no, you don't have to touch my feet. You and me are the same. That's the biggest message. That's like one of the mind-boggling thing that Swami, which is like a turning point in the Swami's mission, is really emphasizing the point that you are the embodiments of love. You are the embodiments of God. If you look at it, the transformation that is the basis for the Swami's life is that one. Swami says, in the Rama time, all the bad lives in one place, good lived in one place. So it was easy for the Swami to take care of the bad. In the Krishna time, they all lived together in the one place, but they're in the separate bodies. So it's little bit easier. But in Kali Yuga time, Swami's mission has been very difficult, and the only way that he could do the he could uplift the good is by the transformation. That transformation, the milestone, I think, is that point. Swami is not letting everybody to touch his feet, saying that, no, you don't have to touch your feet. You are God, I am God. Then we were thinking about, okay, his life is his message, and then slowly we have to move on to the next step, that is, our life is his message. That's sort of as a result of the transformation. Then, if you're saying that our life is his message, that means you're really saying, my life is his message. That means we are two different entities. No, we are not two different entities. With the same form, then Swami left the physical body, saying that, I'm not the physical body. Then now the big transformation comes up is, his life is his message. What it really says is, who's sitting in you, in each and every one of you, whatever you do, that's his message. His body is his message. Thank you.
Swami has said, many of you come to me for petty tinsel and trash. Very few of you have come to ask of me what I have come to give, which is liberation. But he's such a compassionate and loving mother that he says, I give you what you want so that you could want what I have come to give. And I learned this lesson in a most dramatic way. In one of the interviews, I sat at 2 feet away from his chair and was observing the handkerchief that hangs on his chair, and was thinking, Swami, how nice this would look in my prayer room. And then my monkey mind started to play tricks. Should I take it? Should I ask for it? Should I steal it? And as these thoughts were going through my mind, Swami took the handkerchief, wiped his brow and mouth, and looked at me straight into my eyes and put it back. But the monkey mind kept going through that whole interview. When the interview was completed, Swami, as the perfect host, would stand at the door and usher out lovingly all the interviewees. And as this was happening, I stealthily crept up to the chair, and with my left hand I took the handkerchief. As I was walking out, Swami is looking at me in a very serious mood. And I said, Swami, I took the handkerchief. He said, Acha, acha, go. But it was 15 years after I would learn a very powerful lesson. A Vrindavan bhajan singer came to Trinidad to do some programs. And he related an incident with the handkerchief that was almost similar to mine, except the ending. He also sat at Swami's feet and was watching the handkerchief. And his monkey mind was also asking, should I take it? Should I steal it? Should I ask for it? But he finally mustered up enough courage to ask Swami, Swami, should I take the handkerchief? And he says a most amazing thing happened. Swami's entire face changed. His color of his skin became like copper and bronze, and his eyes were bulging. And he said that he just felt this love of Swami oozing out of his face, straight into his eyes. And Swami told him, take me instead. So my dear friends, let us really ask of the Lord what He has come to give us. Liberation. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, everyone. One of the things in terms of experiences, Swami always gives us so much when we work together, and over the years he's really graced us, the medical teams, when we go to Parthi, to do medical service, and in different ways, not always physically, but he's also shown us that he's been there each time. But one of probably the most significant experiences that we've had as a group was after the 85th birthday celebration. And one of the things, we start off the medical camp every day in the beginning with prayers, and we've always noticed that the garlands on Swami's picture, they fall during the bhajans, devotional singing in the beginning, and then one of the ladies or the gents goes back, ties it really tight, and then it falls again. And again, telling us beyond that, he's there no matter what we do. He's still, he's still showing his presence. And this time, during the 85th birthday celebrations, your mind starts playing games. So the first day, I was expecting, the garland to fall, and after the prayers, nothing happened actually. And then right away, we have Dr. Reddy. He walks in, and he says, Swami actually sent me to give you all this. So he's again showing us this grace. And he actually, from Swami's home, brought us this vibhuti for all the team members. And the camp went by, and once the camp was over that particular day, we got news that Swami wanted to see us in the mandir. And we all went, and this was the day after 24th, I think, November. It was actually Swami's actual birthday. It was a Thursday. And Swami came and spent so much time with us as a doctors. Brother Ganesh was there, Bob, Vishal, they were all there. And he actually came and spent time with each and every one of us. He went to the ladies' side, and then we thought he was actually leaving. He came back again, and again went to each and every one of us, and actually distributed vibhuti to each one of us individually. And he had some bhashan, he talked with some people, and it was such a beautiful incident, and we really didn't understand the impact of it at that time. And later on we found out one of the Sai brothers from Indiana actually had a dream that previous night where Swami came to him, and he told our brother, "Now I'm going to give you a very, very, very grand exit." And this was just before April, and then he actually, once he was done with us, he actually came to the front of the veranda, and the musical team, the choir team, was supposed to perform for the second time, and Swami just took arati and left. It was a very special event for us. He was. I think he has in so many ways. When we serve. When we do our service, how he acknowledges it, but also shows us in different ways. This is, it's a very special setting for us. It's something we would never forget in our lives. The time he has spent with us that particular afternoon. So I think something for all of us to kind of remember that these experiences that we have experienced and continue to experience as of today will continue to happen, and I think that's probably one thing we all have to kind of leave this conference today keeping in mind. This is just the beginning of a very, very grand beginning.
Sairam, everyone. I'd first like to offer my most humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Swami, and to thank Swami for the opportunity to be here and to participate in this service mini retreat. I'm very much in awe and impressed by the many things we heard this morning and just now by Brother Mohammed about the various global seva activities that our Sai organization is doing. I will say that I feel very blessed in other ways, in that I came to the Sai fold as a very young child. I was 6 years old when I first came to the physical presence of our Swami after my father's passing, and had many opportunities to have very close and personal interactions with our Swami back in the 60s. This is in 1960 was when we first came to Swami. And back in those days, as someone said, Swami was very accessible, and he wanted to have access to the devotees. So he called us in and talked with us about many, many topics, including character development and education and career choices and so on. And in fact, was the one who advised me to study for my doctorate. I wanted to be a medical doctor, and he said, no, that's not what you're going to be. You should be a scientist. And primarily because I felt that was a very good way to serve Baba. But he said, you're going to serve in the capacity of education. Get your highest degree, and you will have the opportunity as you go along. There were 2 points of transformation in my life. Of course, being a child, growing up with Swami, there were many experiences, and there's a lot to talk about. And of course, the feelings and the impressions on a child's mind are really quite amazing when you're in the presence of someone as awesome as our Swami. But there were 2 points of transformation. One was when I was an adolescent, actually when I was 18 years old, attending the first summer course in spirituality in 1972, and it was my first exposure to Swami's intense fondness for service, because we had at least 5 or 6 opportunities in the day to do different types of service, including sweeping the grounds or cooking, cleaning the dishes, setting the table, the floor ready for food, getting the mic ready for the speeches and so on. But you could see that Swami wanted us to do these things, and he would come around and talk about how important it was for the young, we didn't say young adults back then, but for the youth of the country to get involved in these types of service activities. The goal being that it gets rid of our ego. And I think this has been touched upon by everybody here. The second transformation came a little bit later when I was 25, after I finished my PhD. And I spent many months, actually about 8 months in the ashram, and really experienced the true divinity of Swami. And Swami as the higher Atma was a very eye-opening awakening. And I carried that with me throughout my life, and I think I view service as every little act that we do. There are projects, there are service projects, there are activities. Basically everything we do, even when we are sitting quietly, thinking thoughts, when we think good thoughts and not think bad thoughts, we're doing service. So we should think of every little thing that we do in our lives as an act of service, because Baba says the service is not for him, it's for us to grow spiritually. And so I think for this mini retreat and this session we're going into, those would be some of the types of things that I hope we will come out of this discussion, so that when we go back, we'll focus more on reducing our egos and desires and increase our humility and compassion towards each other in the side fold, and of course towards the community in overall. Sairam.
Thank you for those very insightful opening thoughts. This question is directed towards Brother Fize and Dr. Indira. Is service a project or a way of life? And Brother Fize, can you start?
Swami has said that the most important and valuable acquisition in a spiritual aspirant's life is character. And when he emphasizes this, character is simply doing good, seeing good, and being good. We may be involved in specific service projects, but it goes way beyond this. When our very lives become a divine expression of selfless service, then we are living for Him. In a Mahashivaratri discourse many years ago, Swami spoke about the inner significance of the outward items that are used to worship Lord Shiva. And he said the leaf represents our bodies, which have to be used in the selfless service of humanity. The flower is our heart, filled with love and devotion, which can be offered at His lotus feet. The fruit is our minds, which has to be surrendered to Him. And the water represents the tears of bhakti, the tears of devotion that flow from the eyes of the devotee when he is in ecstatic communion with the Lord. So what Swami really wants from us is not so much the physical offerings, but for our lives to become the offering worthy of being placed at His lotus feet. So service is not limited only to one project. It is a continuous expression of divine love in thought, word, and deed. And this is what really Swami wants from us. Sairam.
Yes, Swami has said that we should engage in selfless service, and is it just a project or is it a way of life? You know, we tend to think of service as activities and projects, only because we tend to think of it as something outside of us. And sometimes we say there's no time for service. I'm too busy working, I may not be able to go visit do environmental seva, or I may not be able to sort clothes this weekend, or I can't cut vegetables, or I can't do Narayana seva, I'm too busy. But Swami says, that is not the only type of service that we should limit ourselves to. In fact, he has made a statement, and I think it's in the book Yoga of Action, that we don't really need to go out there and clean the streets. Not everybody needs to be doing that. We should do it, of course, go into the villages, especially in India. It's a big service activity that goes on. But he says even the work you do on a daily basis, if you're a businessman, be a good businessman, be righteous, be ethical and moral, make the right decisions when you do your work, because that translates into right action. And right action, when it's done without the fruits of the action, which often, let's say in business, is profit. To just keep that in mind, that we turn the act over to Swami, but just weigh the values that you need to invoke to do your job, whether it's truth, morality, ethical behavior, whatever it may be. To keep that in mind when we do our work, and then it becomes righteous action and it becomes service. Similarly, if you have a talent, if you're good at something, you're a good doctor, you're a good scientist, you're a good teacher, do your job really, really well. In fact, he says, make sure that you work enough to earn the money that you're paid. He says, often we say we aren't paid enough, we want more money, we're not getting enough promotion potential. We always complain about these things. But we should look at all of these tasks that he has given us the talent to do. You're a good scientist, or a good teacher, or a good doctor. Do that work really, really well. And then it becomes service, and it becomes part of your life. So it becomes a way of life. So in other words, service is a way of life when it's done selflessly, when we think about every act that we do, everything we say to another person, or every opportunity to help, when we take those opportunities and make sure that we infuse those activities with love and humility and absence of ego, then it becomes a way of life. So in other words, when it becomes a way of life, then the selfless service becomes the primary step towards our liberation, because it really cleanses what we call the consciousness. It cleanses the Atma, the mind and the heart, and it then leads to a vision of the Atma if we look inside carefully. So it's always kind of an integrated process, and the sublimation of service is really selflessness and ego, which leads us to spiritual growth. Simon.
Brother Fize and Dr. Ganesh, relating to the scriptures, can you elaborate on the statement, our life is his message? And Dr. Ganesh, can you go first?
I just said that initially. Swami, his mission is transformation. The transformation, how we perceive the transformation was, initially we are always thinking, his life is his message, and slowly we got evolved and saying that, no, my life is his message. And then, ultimately when you become unity with the God, then the only thing you're going to say is his life is message, because there's nothing like no difference between you and the God. You are the part of the God. When you become part of the God, you don't feel any, you don't find any distinction between you and the God. You say that his life is message. I'm part of him. Whatever I am is everything his grace. Whatever I do is his grace. So his life is his message. I'm part of him. So to give the little bit of a scriptural description, I'll show you the interview. This is a very nice interview, just very simply. So, Mr. Kanraja, he's very atheist. He's very critical of Swami. He went to Swami to test Swami. And then he was the editor of his newspaper and he used to write his themes and articles about Swami and things like that. And Swami said, this is what Swami said, godliness, which is present in everybody, is in the form of a little spark, exists in me as a full flame. And it's my mission to develop every little spark of God in everyone to the full flame. The next thing, what he asked was, okay, Swami, are you saying that you're going to raise the consciousness of everybody to the God-like condition to enable them to command their life, their own destiny? Then Swami replies, yes, exactly. So they would become shareholders of my Sankalpa Shakti. That's my divine power, divine willpower, and universal energy. I had to work through them, arouse the indwelling God in them. What really saying is, when there is a little spark in you, little spark of Swami is in you. When it rises up to his level, which is not impossible, in the sense, so many people hasn't received that one, then whatever you do, whatever the thought, whatever you see, whatever you think, whatever you do, from morning to evening, is part of becoming his mission. That's it. Then you start thinking like, no, his life is his mission. That means I'm part of him. Whatever I do is his mission. So for that, I'm going to say, when the God created the universe, he didn't have any form. He's just a formless. There's only 3 ways that you can describe the God was Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat means eternal. Chit means pure knowledge. Ananda means bliss. The essence of Ananda is like a pure love. Then, from them, the Swami came. When the God decided to create universe, from him, the Virat Purusha came. From him, then, why God has created the universe? You all remember the Swami's quotation. His intention was, I separate myself from myself to love myself. That's the standard quotation that we all know from Swami. I separate myself from myself to love myself. It is something, it was very complex until recently that made me sense. So, from the Virat Purusha, the 5 elements came. Either air, fire, water, earth. In their purest form, all the 5 things, all the 5 elements are not incompatible. Incompatible means no compatibility. They cannot mix. Then God has asked them, no, you have to mix. You have to mix. There's a process called Panchikaranam, means they all mix together. As a result, all the 3 qualities came. Tamasika, all the 3 qualities of human being, and the entire universe came. Just imagine, just the biggest lesson that you can get it from this one is unity. Unity in the divinity. So imagine if the 5 elements did not listen to the God and say, no, we are not going to mix. That's it. Nothing would have come afterwards. No creation, nothing. And then, relating to Swami, here is what happened. I'm going to take a little bit longer for this one, sorry. Dr. Reddy's father, Dr. Narendra Reddy's father, had an interview with Swami. And in the interview, he asked Swami, Swami, you don't eat much. How can you survive, Swami? And Swami said, no. Then he continued. He said, Swami, maybe you derive the energy from 5 elements. That's what he told the Swami. Swami said, no. I am the one who gives the energy to the 5 elements. That really tells the power of Swami. That really tells the power. Whatever you see Swami in the physical body is the minuscule part of Swami. The part of Swami beyond the physical body, after the physical body, is unimaginable. Then the next thing happened. Then he decided, okay, let me create the entire universe. So how he created was, from the Virat Purusha things came from his mind. He used his mind energy to create the moon. He used his energy from his eyes to create the sun. He used energy from his feet to create the earth. His breath is the air, whatever we are breathing. Right? Rest of the entire galaxy, entire universe came from his tongue. So, if you look at it, even where in the world that you can be there without him? Just imagine, where in the world that you can be there without him? Around him, he's in there, he's above there, below there, in front of you. Just, there's nothing, just him. Then what happened? When he created the universe, the earth, he has to create something. So he created this garden of love. This beautiful garden on the earth he created. In this garden, you have the people who are their level of capacity, their level is from the animal to the human. He is there, each and every one, and only thing that is the physical body, whatever you see, is the only transient. Only thing that is there in that one is his Atma, which is the eternal one. And then if you look at it, it's the only thing that is unifying force in the visible diversity is him. That is the unity in the diversity. Whatever the thought process, whatever the action that you do, whatever you do, if your actions are based on that unity in that visible diversity, that leads to purity, that leads to divinity. If you look at it, when he created the universe, then he created the people, animals, and then all the way up to the human beings. One thing God, Swami, has given us is the intelligence and asking us to take care of the entire garden, to take care of each and everything in the garden, as opposed to, instead of taking care of the garden, we are using the garden for ourselves. So, if you look at the scriptures, you see the quotations on garden in the Bible a lot. Take care of the garden, take care of the garden. It's essentially saying that it is very fortunate for you to take a birth as a human being. You have a power like every other animals, every other creatures in the universe, and you have intelligence, you have the wisdom, and it is your utmost responsibility to take care of the universe. So that's the biggest responsibility. Swami is smart. He gave the intelligence, and at the same time, he gave the responsibility also. So when you see this one, now you can see, I separated myself from myself to love myself. That's what the Swami means. But contrary to that, can I have a glass of water? Contrary to that, if you look at the entire universe, everything is doing what Swami has said. The rivers are running, giving water to everybody. The trees are giving the fruit for us to enjoy, and cows are giving the milk. Everything is doing the duty as per Swami sent them to do, except us, we doing the things I think are supposed to. So Swami, I think initially thought, I created all these people. They're going to love them. They love each other. So the love means they love means it's not like physical bodies. Swami is there in us. So we love each other. That means Swami is loving. Essentially Swami is not seeing as a human beings and everything. We are part of him, and that's what his concept was. I separated myself from myself to love myself. So if you look at other scriptures, from Quran, La ilaha illallah, there's nothing but a God. The same thing, it is not just in the Hindu scriptures, in every other scriptures is the same thing. It's nothing but God, him, and you are surrounded by him. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Swami says that I am God, but you are God also. The difference is, I know that I am God, but you do not. He also addresses us as embodiments of the divine Atma. I've never heard him say devotees, because we still haven't attained that status to be called that. So it is work in progress with every passing day. So when he says your life should reflect my message, what is his message? Love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never. So we have to look at his life and see what he manifests in it every day, and we have to strive to pattern our lives inwardly to what his message is. So, and we can begin, as Bhagwan has talked about the character, we can begin by having good thoughts that can produce good actions, that can develop good habits, that can create a good character. So if we claim to be devotees or believers in Bhagwan, we must be striving every moment of the day to translate his message into our lives. And he is so compassionate. He says, when you listen to my teachings, just take one of them, whether it is love, peace, truth, right action, kindness, compassion, and begin to practice it. When we begin to practice it, then we will connect to the inner divinity and source that is within ourselves. So the most important thing I feel is to make a start. And when you take that first step, he will take 100 towards you. So in that way, our lives can certainly reflect his message. It is a work in progress every day. But once we make the effort, we will attract his grace. Sai Ram.
Dr. Indira, the human body is gifted to serve others. Can you share your perspectives on this message from the scriptures?
I want to start out by saying that Swami has said that the human body is a gift given to us as a result of our past good deeds. The human birth is special in that it is the only form in which we can actually achieve liberation. Animal forms of all other forms may have things such as the body and the senses, but it's only in the human form and the body given to us in this way that we have been built that we can achieve freedom from birth and death, and we call this liberation and freedom from bondage. So we need to be very mindful of this fact that it's not just a gift, it's the most unique gift that we can have, that we can be given from the highest consciousness, which is Paramatma, God. So he's also said that we need to use this body to cross, as a raft, to cross the ocean of human life, this is samsara, and to achieve the goal that he's laid out for us, which is to realize ourselves, achieve merger with the divine consciousness, and to understand really where we came from and who we are. Now, where does selfless service fit into all this? And I think we've heard about it from a number of the panelists here, but I would like to reiterate that selfless service is the first step towards achieving this liberation. And selfless service, again, as I said earlier, it's everything we do, every act, every thought, and every vibration that we send out to the universe. All of this is selfless service when it's done with purity and when it's done in the absence of ego. When we get rid of the ego in this way, or we diminish the ego, then we begin to realize that we are getting more peaceful. We feel more at peace with ourselves. We are more accepting of everything that's around us, whether it's competition or whether it's things that are done to us that we may not feel comfortable with. But we learn to develop patience. We learn to develop compassion. And all of these qualities are what we call purification of our heart, purification of the mind, and of course, in the end, it's purification of our consciousness. Because we have multiple bodies in ourselves, the physical body and the etheric body, and so on and so forth. And these are all a conglomeration of thoughts and ego and desire and so on. So in order to reach that end goal, which is, and we do have the opportunity, and of course having had Swami walk the earth at the same time as all of us in this physical form, we've had an extraordinary opportunity to source from that really high energy, you know, to develop ourselves individually. And of course, when we develop ourselves individually, we develop the community because we are radiating that goodness, that peace, that bliss. So the human body, yes, it is gifted. It's gifted to serve, and it's the service that we do is absolutely important because it's the first and the biggest step that we can take towards self-realization. Sarah.
Thank you. This is directed to Dr. Harry and Dr. Ganesh. Having participated in medical camps around the world, what was your take-home message from those visits? And what is your advice to a devotee who is eager to serve but may not be able to participate in such service projects? Dr. Harry?
You know, we always talk about doing service in a lot of places, including across the world. And I think we always have to, from time to time, really get back to the idea that we don't need to go anywhere. There's so much need here as well, and we can do it at an individual level. You know, something as simple to going to a nursing home or participating in a church activity or any activity. And I think that itself is service. So I don't think we need to look too beyond, and there's so much in our own communities. But even if you're not able to do something, to me, I always felt that one of the greatest services for my own spiritual growth is being non-violent in thought, word, and deed. And what I really mean by that is that, you know, we always think about when we're trying to work with each other, doing service, you know, go out and do something. But our mind is playing games, you know, our mind have all these thoughts about others. I think we have to start controlling our mind so that that thought of indifference or any bad thoughts, you know, should be first curtailed. I think that itself, to me, is the biggest service we can do for, you know, for ourselves and to the other persons across as well. What the projects that I've been involved in really have helped me is to really learn about, you know, when we work together as a team, you know, really has taught me discipline, devotion, dedication. And it really doesn't matter who is doing it and who is participating in it. And I think because the effect of that can be so profound. I'll just give you a quick example. When I was in Parthi a few years ago, working in the super specialty hospital, this particular gentleman who works in the gardens in the hospital comes to me, and he was so touched by the love of the doctors. And, you know, as I was done examining him, he was looking at me very shy, and I wasn't sure what exactly he was trying to tell me. And slowly he picks out from his pocket, you know, and this really shows the impact of love, which is a reflection of our love. He slowly picks out a picture of Swami and gives it to me. I was very touched, and then he goes on to tell me a story of what that photo was. So apparently a few months ago, Swami had come to the super specialty hospital to inaugurate the canteen. And, you know, they gave, and Swami was there, you know, distributing the photos. And this was a picture, you know, from Swami to him. And he was so touched with the love of the doctors, you know, he wanted me to have that photo. And I think it really teaches us a lesson that, you know, these are such simple acts of love, you know, that we need to think about. We don't need to go anywhere, you know, just in our own centers, in our own lives, look at each other, you know, and think, you know, what kind of thoughts do I have? You know, yes, I'm talking very lovingly to my brother, but am I thinking lovingly about him? To me, that's the greatest service you can do.
I've been to the several countries for the medical camps, and then when you go there, Swami always says service activities should not be like the part-time activities. Whatever you learn, whatever you see, whatever you feel, whatever you do up there should have a long-lasting impact on your life. That should bring out the transformation in yourself and everything. So I'll give an example, like whatever happened, like in the 2001 when I went to the Zambia. We were supposed to be there. Me and Brahma Sharma from your region, we both went, and then we joined the UK group. So we were supposed to be there 6 days, and leave on Saturday afternoon. And then, we really, it was hard because jet lag and everything, we had to work. And so they said that, you've been really busy, why don't you guys go to the waterfalls? So they made us to leave on Friday evening. So cutting short the one-day medical camp. I don't know that what made me, it is everything is Swami's grace. I must say that it is not like, sometimes a thought comes to your mind. We cannot take the credit. It is ultimately him who gives the thought. So I was so disappointed. I was so unhappy while I was leaving the village, cutting short one day of the week. You would not believe that I was looking at the village. I was going in the car. I was keep looking until it disappeared my vision. And the pain still lasted in my soul, saying that, I have to do something. I have to do something. So the pain, what I meant is, like, the pain, say for example, if you sincerely believe whatever you saw, that Purushottam, the meaning of that entire world is your family. If you firmly have a conviction that Swami is in each and everything, entire world is in your family, then you should have the same feeling, whatever the feeling that you have about the world, the same feeling whatever you have with your family. Say for example, I go to the restaurant, I eat something. I'm enjoying the food. If the rest of the family, my own family, blood relatives are not there, I always feel, oh, I wish that they could have been here. They could have enjoyed the same lunch, same thing. The same pain should be there when it's there. So, the pain is, I sincerely thankful to Swami because that is the pain as a result of that when the book came on the, I said that I had to do something for that place. And, whatever I did for that, aiming for that, Zambia helped me for helping other countries as well. But what I meant to say is, when you go to the countries, when you see the things, it is not just a 1 week of service. The thing, whatever you learn, should be stored as a precious memories in your hard disk. You have a computer, you have a soft disk and hard disk, like how you store it, you just store it. You don't know what comes out of that one. It's amazing that can happen. As long as you have that pain, which is selfless, this is pure, not selfless, it's pure. Like pure as pure. Then that's it. So that is the lessons, that I told the same thing. My brother's daughter came with me to the Haiti. I told her, no, you should not, 1 week coming to the Haiti, doing the service doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. I mean, we going there for, what I meant was, we did so much, but what I meant is, in your life. So, you really have to take the lesson and store it on your hard disk forever. That's one. And the people, whoever cannot, say for example, the Pakistan thing happened, and Sundar was there, Raju was there, we all sent some supplies. But at the same time, we were not physically able to go there. We were not able to physically because of the restrictions. So then, you always feel the pain. I don't know what made me this. I said, okay, I do the Surya Namaskar every day. When I would do the Surya Namaskaram, I sincerely prayed that Swami, whatever the Gayatri Mantra chanting, you pray the Gayatri for the enlightenment, for the wisdom. Give the wisdom, whatever the things to give it to the things. I used to pray for Middle East and then Pakistan. You would not believe how Swami acknowledged. The interview, the last interview, 24th November interview, Swami came and somehow I ended up in, I was able to kiss Swami's hand, touch Swami's feet several times. It's just like so many things, that interview. Two things that happened in my mind was about a friend who had an accident, and I don't know what made me to think to ask Swami to show love to the Middle East. That's the only thing I asked. I don't know what made me to think that way. I'm really saying that one is because not to show that I'm selfless or anything, but showing is Swami acknowledges Swami. That happened even before this Middle East turbulence going on. This thing happened in the November of 2010. Nothing was happening at that. I mean, there was something about Iraq, this and that. But all these things in the past 1 year, it is how that Swami acknowledges. Swami, when you think about something, how Swami make it into bigger level. You never know, you just pray, just pray. The simplest thing that you can do for anybody is, whoever you cannot do is the pray. And say, when he says Om Shanti Shanti, that's exactly the meaning of Shanti, 3 times Shanti. You say one Shanti for our own, one Shanti for entire universe. You just, whenever you pray end of the prayers, you say peace. When you keep saying the same thing, slowly, 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 you become part of it. Then initially you may be saying without meaning it, and slowly, 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 you mean it. You don't know the power of soul. That's Swami told. The power of soul is so strong, like a spark, making it a big flame. The big flame, how long the big flame lasts is different. It's like, once you reach there, it's not like you're going to sit there, you're going to drop again. Because greatest rishis also got back into the Maya and things like that. But what I'm saying is, the simplest thing that you can do is at least pray as if you cannot do. Sit down.
Is it okay to feel the pain and empathize with others while rendering service, or should we remain detached?
Sorry, yes, like I mentioned just now, feeling the pain in the sense that that feeling has to be there, then the action will come out. Feeling in the sense it's not like, shouldn't make you inactive, it should make you proactive and feel the pain with the firm understanding that is the unity in the diversity, whatever I showed. With that understanding, if you have the feeling, then things will happen. It is, the feeling in your soul in the sense, I will show the picture of what really soul means based on the scriptures, is very strong.
Thank you. Dr. Harry, this question is for you. What is the optimal level of favor for a Fize center? When do we say this is too much, and when do we say we are not doing enough? And how are we able to constantly stay motivated?
This is a question I think people have asking for years. I'm not sure if there's a right answer for any of us to answer this, other than, to say, I think, like Brother Mahesh was talking earlier, he said something very profound, I think, and I hope everyone heard him, that yearning to serve, to do something, it really has to come from an individual level. At a center, organizational level, these are opportunities which are being provided, and how much you take into it. It really comes back to the individual, because you really cannot force love, you cannot force service. So I think it has to really come at an individual level. So in that context, I'm not sure if there's anything is too much. Obviously, too much in the sense that if there are centers, I found even in our region sometimes, we have a service activity, and then people are talking about other service activities, new ones. It's okay to think about that as long as you're still putting that 100% effort with the activities that you're already doing. I think that otherwise, I think we're doing disservice. So once you make a commitment, now you can change that. So what I mean by that is that if there's no need anymore of a particular service activity, you can start another one. But once you're committed to a particular activity, you have to give that 100%. Beyond that, especially if you have a growing center or more energy or enthusiasm, you can always, I think, start another one, because the needs are plentiful, right? I mean, there's so much need that you can find. It's just a matter of our own yearning to do it and how much can we do it. But do it right.
Thank you. Brother Fize and Dr. Indira, Swami says when we engage in seva, we have to be aware that we are going through transformation ourselves. We are the recipients, not the other person. In this country, where poor does not mean extreme poverty, and we live in a predominantly I land with iPods, iPads, and iPhones, how can we, number one, motivate ourselves to do seva, and number two, remember with humility that we are at the receiving end? What practical suggestions can you give to increase this awareness? Brother Fize?
If you look at the structure of the SSSO organization, it has an education wing, a devotional wing, and a seva wing. And they all work in unison to develop and to blossom forth in human excellence, the human individual. So if we are looking at service, Swami talks about first acquiring the knowledge of how service should be practiced and given through study circles and regular study of Sai literature. So this helps to develop our mental awareness, to derive the knowledge to discern what is truth from untruth. Then through the devotional wing, for example, meditation, bhajan singing, etc., it helps us to develop that bhav, that right attitude, that feeling of connectedness to the divinity within the individuals that we serve. And then it manifests in physically serving. Swami has always told us, have the feeling that you are not the doer. When we have that feeling, then we can become willing instruments to really efficiently and effectively do his service. And he gives the example of Krishna and the murali, the flute. And the flute, when it is very hollow and free from ego, the Lord will take it up at will and blow his beautiful divine melody through it. Similarly, when we are hollow and free from ego, the Lord will willingly use us to do selfless service. So it is important to bear this in mind. When we have the right attitude of service, it can benefit us. What is interesting to note is that if we engage in a lot of service activities on an outward level and there is no inner spiritual advancement, there is no inner transformation, there is no connectedness to the divine, we are merely wasting time. When we can infuse divinity into our daily activities, Swami says, work becomes worship. Otherwise, it degenerates into a mechanical activity. That is why he says, duty without love is deplorable. Duty with love, desirable. Love without duty is divine. So we have to get to that level where our very expression of thought, word, and deed becomes a living service in our daily lives, so that every thought, word, and deed becomes a service to humanity. So I think it's an internal journey that we can begin with every act. And we can begin by, in our daily activities, dedicating everything we do to Swami. So if I'm cutting the vegetables, you dedicate it to him. I'm teaching, you dedicate it to him. I am driving, you dedicate it to him. So all our acts, all our thoughts, all our deeds then become transmuted from work into worship. Sairam.
Sairam. I think most people in the Sai fold are here because we want something more from life than just our jobs and our daily routines. We have a hunger for something different. We know there's something out there that we are fully capable of achieving, and it's not just this body. So the first thing we should ask is, what's our goal here? What is the goal of our life? And Swami, of course, has said very clearly that the goal of our life is to understand our true nature and to work towards understanding that and achieving that level of divinity that we have within us. So to actually realize that divinity within us, and we have this birth and we have his energy around us as Sai followers because we focus on him so intently. So in this I age, of course, we are focused very much, most of the world is focused on the I. So we have to then ask, how can we go from the I to the we? So the first the first suggestion I would make is for us to look inside a little bit and ask, what are we trying to achieve here? Once we know that really we are part of this Sai fold, we do want to achieve that goal and we are willing to work towards it, then the I for the inertia will slowly go away. And you may feel that you don't want to go out and sign up for a seva activity right away, but perhaps you could start with just people within your reach. People you work with. You may have a co-worker who is unwell, unable to take care of themselves, a student who's all by himself, may need some help. Right there is an opportunity to start your seva. Another possibility is looking for people who come your way, who may be ill, or may not have a job, who may need to support a family. Here's another opportunity for you to, perhaps you can't find a job for them, but perhaps you can help them by referring them to people who may have opportunities. This gives them a livelihood, it gives them a way to carry on with their lives and to focus on the bigger goal of life. So right there is another service that you could do that could be done totally selflessly. Because you want to do it in a way that you don't necessarily need the fruits of that action. The other thing I would say is whenever an opportunity arises, do try your best to take advantage of it, whatever it may be. And this could even be things such as psychological counseling. It doesn't have to be actually physically giving something to somebody. It could simply be just listening to them, hearing them out, hearing their story, giving them some suggestions, but doing it in a way that that we don't hurt their ego or that we don't insult them, by telling them, well, listen, I'm doing this for you, so make sure you remember this in the future. So it's that selflessness and the willingness to go the extra mile, to do every little thing you can whenever an opportunity arises. That's one way to get over the inertia. Another thing is, of course, sitting right in your home, you can do prayer, you can do meditation, and you can start out by saying your prayers perhaps for yourself, for your family, or people in the family who are sick, but eventually to spread it out to the world, to the country, to the community, because Swami says it's selfish to pray just for yourself and your family. That's very good, in fact you should be doing it, but it becomes very constricted. So if you want to expand your heart and get into this mode of trying to understand who you are, your true nature, then you make that extra effort to pray and send good thoughts and good vibrations to people around you. This is very easy to do. You don't need to go anywhere. You can sit right in your home and do it. Similarly, meditation, you can think about how you would want to give somebody some special energy by doing meditation around them. So these are all things that can be done without too much physical effort or motivation, but the primary motivation is going to have to come from within. That's not something we can of course, force on somebody, but to just give each other that support. And I think that's what the Sai family does. We help each other. We sort of talk to each other and see how things are going and help each other as we go along. And I think that's a wonderful way to help our Sai brothers and sisters with this IH. So.
Thank you, Dr. Indira. Dr. Harry, how can we present Swami at all during our service activities? Can volunteers display Swami's picture at a service activity? Can volunteers speak about Swami to service recipients?
I think the first and foremost thing we all need to think about, or do, I think, is whatever service we're doing, doing with a lot of love, with absolutely no expectations. And what that means is that, the thought process, so the thought, the speech, as we're speaking to others, and our activity, the actual service, the physical part of it, should be completely selfless, and really don't expect anything back. And that is really Swami's message. That's the fundamental thing of our service activities that has to be there before we start thinking about putting a banner, or I don't think Swami really wants us to do that. We have to commit ourselves, individual and as a group, to do that first. That comes to the next question: can we display Swami's picture? Once you are doing that, then I think having Swami's picture, may have an initial impact. But if you're not practicing that, it doesn't matter how many Swami's pictures you're going to have in a service activity. It's not going to make any difference. And can we speak to about Swami to service recipients? If someone asks you, yes, but don't volunteer. Because keep in mind, first of all, you need to understand where they're coming from, how much do they know about Swami, and if they don't get the love, and you're just talking to them about Swami, it's not going to have much impact. I'll give you two very quick examples. We had a camp in Columbus, Ohio, and this gentleman from the neighborhood was so overwhelmed with the love of the Sai family. They actually had a Swami's picture at the entrance. After he was done, he actually ran home, got his camera, and he wanted his picture with Swami. And what really connected him was when he walked in, obviously he saw Swami's picture, it didn't connect, but that love connected him to Swami. And he remembered that love part of it, and he said, this is the reason behind the love from all these people. So I want my picture with him. And he was insistent on having the picture with Swami. So that's the profound effect of that selfless love, I think. The other thing is that my nurse who works with me, when you're doctors, we're dealing with patients, we're always trying to love our patients, but patients sometimes can be difficult as well. So we have to be patient with our patients, and people make get upset with patients for different reasons, obviously, and doctors or nurses. And my nurse over the years, has seen me, being calm, and my email is Om Sai Ram, and she relates me. She knows that I go to Parthi. She knows, about Swami. And nowadays, what she says is that when she really gets upset with the patient, when patients are calling her and kind of asking all these questions, or when they're really giving her a hard time, in her own mind, she says Om Sai Ram. She doesn't really understand the impact of connecting that with Swami, but she knows that Om Sai Ram means something to me, and she sees that what I do as something very beneficial for her. She says, you're always calm, so that Om Sai Ram, there's something about that Om Sai Ram, and that's how she connects that. And she says, every time she has something which is really troubling her mind, she says Om Sai Ram, but immediately she says, she calms down because she knows that's the best way of approaching another person. So I think that's very important, how we reflect is probably the first thing we should do, and everything will come around. And we have so many examples of people coming and asking our Sai groups, who are you, what organization do you belong? That obviously at that point, talk about Swami.
Dr. Ganesh, as we're coming up on the first anniversary of Swami's transition, without his physical frame and a great living example in Bhagavan, how can we continue to remain energized in serving him through his creation?
Like I mentioned before, we have to have a little bit clear understanding about what is Swami, what's the creation. Swami, creation is nothing but part of him. So each and everything is part of him. Is like I mentioned, the earth is like a garden. Each and every part of is part of him. Like Gita Mohan says, like one day she was plucking the grass, and then Swami came and then scolded her, that say that don't do that, because then unnecessarily you shouldn't do those things. And then when Dr. Reddy went to the Swami to present the medical camps, what we do every year, Swami says, what about the animals? So it is him who is there in each and everything. Once you have that firm, clear understanding and firm conviction in that is Swami is everywhere, then that's the first step. Then next one is serving him. What are you what is that is connecting between all of us is the second step. That once you have those two understanding, then things will get easier. Like Swami said, each and every part of the entire creation is like a small magnet. The only thing that connects is the magnetic power. Similarly, the fraction of that, the flame that Swami mentioned, each and everything there is only thing is connected, that is pure love, and is connected by the pure love. Once you have that two clear understanding about those two concepts, then things get easier. So, if you look at it, Swami says, I mentioned the formless Swami. Before the creation, everything happened. He was just completely formless. Sat, Chit, Ananda. When he decided to create the universe, I separated myself from myself to love myself. Everything is to love myself. So Sat, Chit, Ananda. The Ananda, the pure love, a pure bliss is the basis for the creation. That is the basis. That's it. The rest of the parts of him is there. That's the pure love is the basis. And that is the Swami. That is Swami, pure love. Pure love is Swami. Physical body is just it's like a passing cloud of Swami. The pure love is Swami. And it could be in action, it could be, say, when I look at it, am I looking at it with the pure love or something else? It's just like in each and every minute of your life, each and every second of your life, just try to incorporate, just reassess yourself. Is this a pure love? Is this the expression of pure love? Doesn't have to be service and going serving everybody, just, So, when you look at it, Swami is, if you wanted to say one thing about Swami, what is Swami? Physical birth Swami, when you say that, is a prima tattva, it's a pure love. That is Swami. And how can you express love? How can you experience Swami? That's what it is. You wanted to experience the God, how can you experience it? That is the pure love. Once you start expressing with the pure love, then you really express, wow, this is how Swami used to feel. I mean, you wanted to feel God. It is not something, God is not separate from you, God is in you. But you wanted to elevate yourself, feeling to that level. The only thing is that once you start expressing that one, then you really feel, wow. And once you start feeling it, how much time do you want to spend in that? Do you want to spend a few minutes a day, few hours a day, entire day? Is up to you. So then Swami says, I'm pure love. That's always love. That is like the pure love. If you want to take your message from the things, the pure love. And then says, all that came from me is pure love. Take care of the seed of the love that you planted. That is your Atma. And then your life becomes like a message. Then so then it is again. Then Swami said so many times. So I separated myself from myself that I might love myself. That means like he is in you, he is in me. He was thinking in you, Swami is in Sundar, Swami is in me. Swami was thinking, okay, we all love each other. but we are doing other things like that. So, what is that is preventing us to do his job? That is his mission. That's pure love, is our mind. So, when you look at it, this entire universe is formed. I wanted to share one thing about this story, that's why I brought this one up. Recently, Satyajit shared this experience to one of the devotees in Hyderabad, and whoever listened to Satyajit told me directly, that's why I'm able to share with you. One day, Brother Satyajit was going in car with Swami, and Swami asked him, what do you want to see in me? Like, you want to see my previous Rama's life, Rama's vision, Krishna's vision, this vision. Then Satyajit said, I was amazed, how Satyajit said, no Swami, I wanted to see your Virat Swarupa. Virat Swarupa means when God is creating the entire universe, the Big Bang things, that is the Virat Swarupa. I want to see that form. Then Swami said that, okay, raise the window, they were driving. Lower the window, look through the window, that is my Virat Swarupa. Really saying is, that is me. That is me. Whatever seeing is, even though you see the form, the tree or anything, whatever going beneath the tree, what is going in me, everything is him. That's what Swami said. So when you look at it, I mentioned the spark, the Swami said, there's a flame in me, a spark in you. So my mission is to lift that spark to the flame level. So what Swami is saying, spark is this one. The spark is, there's a clear description. We always talk about the heart, full of love. Swami always jokes, when the kids, they come with the heart-shaped things, with all these flowers and everything, that is the physical heart. So Swami always says, this is the physical heart. Our spiritual spark is sitting on the right side of your chest, and it's like a fire. And then in that fire, there's a flickering light, there's a soul that is sitting there. And the energy coming out of the one is the one which sustains your body. We always chant this, Brahmarpanam. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhota, Praninam Deham Asrita, Prana Pana Samayiktam Pachamyangam Chaturvedam. Whatever the Aham Vaishwanaro Bhota, oh God, you're in me as Vaishwana. That is that. So Swami always says, when you see it, when you pour water and when you take birth, imagine that you're cleaning the God. That is the Swami is meaning that one. That means I'm in you as a things. And then, like I showed Virat Swarupa things, Swami always said, look inward in the sense means, don't look at the entire thing. The God is there, which you cannot see. His physical things you cannot see. But if you look into yourself, you can connect to each and everything through the thing. It is like a computer chip. You have the small computers, you have supercomputers. You can access whatever there in the supercomputer through your computer. That is exactly the things. Whatever that is there, it is like your personal computer chip. And then through that, you can access the supercomputer that is Swami. So that is what is the connection between the personal computer, supercomputer? It's a pure love. So you have each one of you has like a chips sitting there, and each one of us, only thing that is connects strongly, eternally, is the pure love. So as long as you cultivate that one, then the only thing that is interfering is your mind is saying, I'm not soul, I'm physical body. Whatever the character that I have is like, whatever I am, I'm angry, I'm nice, I'm this and that, not the pure. So just try to say, the body senses goes and feed the mind, and mind goes to the soul. If the mind diverts entirely to the body, senses, that's it. You will not be able to in touch with your things. So either you train your mind so that you go to you see the real divinity that is in you, pure love, so that you can express your pure love, so that you can achieve his mission. There's several ways, all the pathways to God and everything, so that you can reach that one, so you can be part of his mission, even without seeing him, seeing in you.
Dr. Indira, Often we have a question if the service that we are rendering is reaching the right people. Is this a valid question?
So in this regard, Swami has said that the service we render must reward us not only with our own satisfaction, but also with the satisfaction of the person whose distress we are trying to relieve. And he goes on further to say that we should not judge the qualities of the person for whom we are doing service. That the only credential, and he said this in a number of different discourses, the only credential needed is that they are in distress. So from that point of view, it's very clear that if we take that qualification into account, that should be our guiding principle in the service that we render. So this could be, again, as I said earlier, it could be a friend in distress, it could be a family member, it could be a group of people who are who are distressed. It could be situations where there have been natural disasters, where there's tremendous distress. These are all acts that we know will render them happy, and of course it will render us happy in the end, and peaceful, because we've given from a self, especially if it's given, and it should be given in a selfless mode, because when we help the distressed, we're doing it because we want to relieve their distress. That's really key motivation from most people who are trying to help someone in distress. They're not doing it because they expect something in return. They're not giving somebody a gift so they can get something back in return. So this becomes then a selfless service, and it will in the end get to the person who deserves to have that service rendered to them. Sarah.
Brother Fize, how can we overcome the inertia to participate in seva activities?
Saira, I think Sister did allude to a few ways in her previous answers. But sometimes to deal with inertia, one of the best ways of combating it is to just jump into service. And I've seen this happen in Trinidad and Tobago, where sometimes we may make an announcement that a house building project is going to take place on Sunday or another service activity, but especially the house building project. And there was one particular member who always used to make excuses and never had the time, etc., and always making excuses of not wanting to come. And then he was giving a little push and a little urge. And he fought on that inertia within himself, and he testified to us that when he came to the house building project, it was nothing that he had ever imagined. When he came and saw everyone chanting and singing and working, he became caught up in that energy of love that he saw. And he was carried away by it so much that he told us he will never ever miss one of these house building projects. So sometimes we also, as Sai devotees, as Sister said, we need to help one another, support one another, sometimes give one another a little nudge, a little push, knowing that when they plunge themselves into this particular activity, it can totally remodel them, re-energize them. And then also we can start with very small things on an individual level. In Islam, there is something called jihad, a very misunderstood concept. But the Holy Prophet Mohammed once said that jihad is the inner struggle that takes place within our minds on a daily basis, the battle of good over evil. Swami sometimes says that the reason why we are not encouraged to do service or get up early and do japa and meditation, he said, is simply innate laziness. And he says we must drive out this laziness and plunge ourselves into doing that which is right. Sometimes that plunging and that pushing comes from the outside. Sometimes we need to muster up enough courage from within to really drive out that inertia. And we can start with very small things. Like, for example, in our homes, you can start with being a good father, a good provider. Doing small acts of kindness like smiling, how you answer the telephone, how you interact with your fellow men and women on a daily basis. Because it's not about the quantity of the service, it's about the quality and the inner attitude with which we perform the acts. So if we start with our individual selves and then gradually move out into the family and then into the society, we can gradually remove that inertia. But you know, there's a saying, TEAM means team, together everyone achieves more. It's not about I, it's about we. So we need to also support, encourage and inspire each other to become the best that we can be. So sometimes to remove that inertia, if you find yourself in good company, it can encourage you to move beyond it and do genuine service. Saira.
Thank you. Dr. Indira, what is the most convincing reason to not serve eggs during Narayana Seva?
I think this question comes up in many of the Seva projects that involve serving food at shelters or serving food in various other situations, particularly in the West. And it's the Swami has actually given some very clear direction in this regard. The background, of course, is that the body is a gift from God, and the body is gifted to engage in sacred action. And when we engage in right action and sacred action, then we remove ego and desires, and we then become selfless. At least we begin to understand selflessness, and we make progress in this direction. And when we achieve a state of selflessness, then this results in an expansion of the heart and a cleansing of the senses, the mind, and so on, and it moves on to the state of liberation. Now, where does food fit into all this? Food is of course, we require food to keep our bodies fit so that we can undertake this service. And we can also undertake sacred actions so that our actions become sacred. How does this happen? Swami has explained that when we eat food that is what we consider polluted, he says eggs, meat, alcohol, these kinds of products are pollutants of the spiritual body. They may nourish the physical body, but they do not nourish the spiritual body. So he says that when we do seva, and where do eggs fall in this? Eggs actually have all the elements of animal life, if you look at it. They are capable of producing life. And you may say that, well, plants also have life. But Swami actually has said that plants do have life, this is correct. But animals have a mind, and they have a nervous system, and various other things that come with certain vasanas, certain, qualities that result in tamasic behavior. So when we do our seva, we want to serve food that is of the highest sattvic quality, because it's not just the food we are serving to the people we are serving it to. We're actually giving them, we hope, when we do these sevas, we try to chant bhajans, and we, sing English songs or Western bhajans or whatever. When we do that, we are sanctifying the food. And why do we want to do that? Because we want the recipient to start making a gradual progress towards spiritual growth by consuming the food that we're serving them. So it's a dual purpose. You're giving them food because you're hungry. They need to eat, they need to nourish their body. But when we give them sattvic food, then there's a chance that by eating that food, they actually undergo some transformation themselves, both from the love of the person giving the food, because usually people who are serving the Narayana Seva are very loving, and they're very happy to give the food, so the love quality is there. But on top of that, to to it a sattvic type of preparation that enhances even the spiritual qualities. So I think the answer generally is that it's not a good idea, and it's because it really falls, also there's a fine line, and most people think of fertilized, non-fertilized, free range, and all these kinds of variations on eggs. But Swami has said that really that is not part of the sattvic diet. So.
Thank you. Dr. Hari and Brother Fize, what is the difference, if any, between service done by other organizations and the Sai organization? Dr. Hari, can you go first?
Two things come to mind when I think of the Sai organization. One is, the love people experience, and I think also there's absolutely no expectation in return. So there is no reward for the service we are providing, and I think you do it so selflessly. And I think those two are probably, to me, the most significant in this Sai organization. When you think about a lot of organizations are doing a lot of stuff, and what really strikes to the recipient is the love and the selflessness. When we were in Mississippi after Katrina, a lot of this is really generated by the young adults, and I was fortunate to go with them. I was one of the two adults in the first trip, and we were working the whole weekend, and the father of the church, and there were so many other organizations helping the people and the church as well, and he brought us all together that night, and he really had tears in his eyes. He said, I don't know who you are, I don't know where you have come from, but I know God sent you. And I think that connection, that heart-to-heart connection, is very unique, with Swami's ideals and his message.
Devotees, I'd like us to look at something. The Satya Sai organization is the only organization in the world where God has been the founder, the initiator, the orchestrator. Satya Sai Baba has lended his name to the Satya Sai Baba organization. It's a perfect organization in the strictest spiritual sense. And this is a major difference to any other organization. Some other organizations, when they do service, it is to promote the ego. In the Satya Sai organization, it is to destroy the ego. And I'll give an example. Swami was giving a discourse once, and he says there is a particular organization that does 100 rupees of service and then spend 500 rupees to put it in the newspaper. So this is an organization, as brother is saying as well, that when we perform service, we do it in order to shatter the ego and to awaken the divinity within. That's a primary difference. Also, the effect of selfless service in the Sai organization becomes contagious on many, many levels. When we join with other organizations too, they become inspired to also do service differently. The benefactors and recipients of the service, they are so inspired that it brings tears to their eyes. There is a project in Trinidad where every year the organization takes a set of 120 visually impaired persons on a day, an outing to the beach, and where we provide games and fun activities, and most importantly, they go and have a nice sea bath. And when we are dropping them back to the institution, many of them are in tears. They say no other organization has ever shown so much love and care as the Satya Sai organization. So there's the difference between doing service in the Satya Sai organization and as opposed to other organizations. Saira.
This is directed to Dr. Ganesh and Dr. Indira. How can we assess if our act is unconditional and selfless? Dr. Ganesh?
I think that before doing this, I just wanted to pinpoint what is unconditional, what is selfless. Then you know how to assess it. What is unconditional means essentially you're putting a condition to the act. Whatever act you're doing, it is not service. It doesn't have to be, again, when you're in the pure love state, whatever you do is Swami loves it. When you serve it, right, whatever you do, that's Swami's, you're with Swami. Essentially whatever we are doing is, Swami says, you serve the people until you see the God. Bottom line is that. So, when you see the God in the pure love. So, unconditional means you're putting the condition. The condition is, there's three conditions, like Swami said, in this, so I showed you the garden where there's, you are there and the animals are there and the different are there. So, everybody on the earth has one thing is eat. They have to eat. Basic instincts, eating and drinking and those things. That's one condition. The second condition is procreation. That's the second condition. You, your family, this and that. And the third condition is the power. You wanted to establish your own kingdom, like your territory. Those are the three conditions, three things. This is very commonly there for us, for everybody in the place. Those are the conditions. Whatever you do with that conditions becomes like a condition law. Whatever you do beyond those three conditions, say that when you see the things, am I doing for myself or am I eating? Say for example, I'm giving something, I'm doing something here. Say that is it for me, for my eating and drink? No. Is it for my family? No. Is it for me to show that establish my power? No. Once you say three ticks, that's it. Then it goes to the next level. That is, you didn't put. And you add a little bit love to it, that's it. It becomes like a pure unconditional. Then that's like, so that's selfless love. Then he said the other definition, what we commonly hear it is selfless love. What is selfless love? I mean, what it really saying is, like I mentioned, the Swami is like a big flame, you are like a little spark. So once you reach your spark level to lit flame level, then there is no distinction. You are the part of the flame. So there's nothing like, there's a spark here and the flame, there's myself and the Supreme Self. Once you reach that level, there's only one self that exists is Swami. That is the selfless love. It's nothing like, myself. That is meaning of selfless love. Selflessness. So once you see, what it really saying is, see the divinity, unity in the diversity. That is the selflessness. Only thing that is there is only love, only one self, that is Supreme Self, that is Swami. I'm part of Swami, everybody else is part of Swami, only self is that self. That is selflessness, and unconditional is these three conditions. So whatever you do, like it used to be like it's a very difficult task for me. Am I doing the selfless, unconditional, selfless navasana? Just like I said that, okay, I had enough of it. Let me develop a technique or something. Then let's just say that tick, tick, tick. Whatever you do, just immediately say that, am I doing for this one, this one, this one? Those three are not there, and that's it. Your level of action is a little bit higher than those conditional acting. And then do it with love. Then the thing, say for example, somebody serves you without expecting anything, you go to the restaurant, they give you so you go somewhere, they give you the food. Giving the food just like that, without expecting anything is one thing. Giving the food with love is different. That is the thing. Selfless love with love is really that becomes like part of it. How much time in a day you want to spend in that state, again, it's up to you. Most of us spend part of our day in that level. And then when you come to this center also, you say that, we always think, that person is doing this person is doing this, like, we always, I'm just trying to be a little bit open. But one thing is, remember that one. When you're coming to the center, or you're going to wherever you are, doing the service for yourself, in the sense to see the God until you use it. Say, when you go to the school, you never complain about, somebody, when you go to school, you have the people who fail, you people who pass, you people get a distinction. You never complain when you go to school and complaining about the people who fail. But when you come to go to the center service activities, we always complain, oh, that person is doing this person is doing, we all will complain about other people and finding an excuse not go to the service. So think that you are also going to the spiritual school, you see the spectrum of the people who sometimes do the things conditionally, sometimes they do the unconditionally. Don't look at them when they do the conditional work. Just think about yourself. You do unconditional, you be with Swami.
So I'd just like to add that Swami has said that an essential quality for service is actually having a pure heart. It doesn't mean that if we are trying to purify our hearts that we shouldn't get involved in service, because through that process we eliminate our ego and we purify our hearts. But what's really important is for us to examine our motives when we do any action, service, selfless service, and so on. Why are we doing this? What are we trying to gain from this? Is there a gain? Is there a motive? Or are we doing it unconditionally? Are we expecting no reward? Are we just doing it because it makes us feel good and the recipient feel happy? Is that the only reward you're seeking? Or are you seeking something else? Swami has actually said that some people think it's a passion to do service. And they like to do fanfare, and I think this point about putting things out in a magazine or saying we're doing all this service, that this happens sometimes, perhaps not in the Sai organization, but other places. And that this is not the motivation or the motive behind doing service. It should simply be the unconditional and selfless giving from deep within our hearts, so that our hearts can become purified and can expand in order that we may expand our vision of humanity. So I would say, if you find yourself with ego or some sort of feelings of pride or feelings of, well, I did so many different things of seva today, without really feeling inside that it was done in a selfless way, then we know we are not doing it with an unconditional and selfless manner. But if we do feel, well, I did this and I'm pleased that somebody benefited from it, and the way I benefited was that I became happy and I became peaceful, then that's unconditional. You're really not expecting any rewards back, except that of making someone else happy. Simon?
Brother Fize, serve all and be nothing. Can you share your perspective on this quote from our beloved Swami?
Well, true service is understanding and practicing that you are not the doer. As we said before, if you become the murali, the flute that is hollow and free from ego, then you can serve selflessly. You can serve with a feeling and an awareness of love. We should also be reminded that Swami has said that he has provided the skill, the talent, the education, the opportunity. So why should you take the credit? And the purpose of service is really to shatter the ego. So when we say serve all and be nothing, we must become the willing instrument that he can work through, that he can blow his divine melodies through. In Islam, there's a saying, when people praise you, you say Alhamdulillah, which simply means all praise is due to God. So you attribute everything to him. And it is only through Swami's grace that he is giving us this opportunity to serve. Sairam.
Thank you. I will ask the panelists to give a closing thought, if you can keep it to 2 minutes, and narrate one transformative experience if possible. And can we start? We'll start with Dr. Indira to the right.
So I think we've had a very nice Q&A and a lot of different aspects of service, focusing on the spiritual transformation of the person doing the seva and hopefully the recipient, and the role it plays in our spiritual growth and our move towards achieving the goal or closer towards the goal of liberation. The couple of messages I thought would be good and important to share that we can take home, which I think most people are aware, but it's just to repeat, that all service to man is service to God. So every act that we do, maybe we should start thinking that every act that we do should be dedicated to the Lord. Every act of speech, every thought we have. So to make this sort of part of our daily lives and every moment of our lives. That's something we can start doing if we aren't doing it already. Service purifies the heart by instilling love, and it purifies the mind by cleansing the thought. Because when we do service in a selfless way, we are trying to eliminate all the negative thoughts that come to us. And if they do come to you, try to put them away, get rid of them. Selfless action removes ego and cleanses our consciousness. And this is actually where we want to go in the end, is to improve our vision, our inner vision, and to achieve the state of Atmic knowledge, which is achievable. Because Swami, we've come to Swami's court, he found us. He's put us in his hospital. We're going to get cured. We're going to achieve that goal, But we need to make the effort in whichever way is appealing to us. But of course, service is an integral part of it. And as I said earlier, every act we should think of as an act of service to God. In terms of transformative experiences, I would say that growing up with Swami, we had a lot of loving interactions. He made it he took on the role of a mother and father. Actually, we went to him after my father's passing, and he became, he was the mother and father for both my brother and me. And the transformative experience really was in making the connection of the Atma within us and Sai, who is the all-pervading Atma. That sort of transformation, which was a blessing, occurred to me when I was young, and it was in Swami's presence in the ashram and with his guidance. So I feel, it really gave me a very different vision of the people around me. And Swami sent me back to the US, of course, to work here and become a scientist, and told me exactly which job I should take. He actually came to me in a dream and told me who I should go and talk to get this particular job that I'm in right now. And he came to me twice, same dream, the same person. So, that was it was not necessarily a transforming experience, because I knew Baba was my guide, but it certainly was another illuminating experience that he is in charge, and we just need to let him do his work on us. Sarah. Thank you.
Dr. Harry?
To me, when I look back and think about the most profound transformation, I think of it as the transformation itself, my own self-transformation over the years, and, really thankful for Swami to giving us this opportunity to transform ourselves so that we are spiritually growing. And we can talk a lot about all the miracles and the experiences. But what does that mean, though? We learned and listened to each other. But what does that mean? Are we actually changing from what we are hearing? And I think in that context that we need to really take that a bit more seriously and not take the whole spiritual path as a path of convenience and do things when things are convenient for us. We have to be honest with ourselves. We want to, I think all of us know what we want to do. We have to be very honest with ourselves and people around us in terms of what we want to do in this life. And I think you'll see that transformation. I personally have seen a lot of transformation in myself. When people talk to my wife about how I used to be, and she's like, "What? Are you really talking about the same person?" Beyond that, that's the outward perception, right? But beyond that, at a heart-to-heart level, how much have we changed? How much are we able to connect to another Atma, soul, to the other, to the Sai in our brothers and sisters? To me, that's the greatest self-transformation. Still working on it, but I think we have to take that. That's our goal. And whenever we talk about anything we do in our lives, let's keep that in mind constantly throughout the day, and really be truthful to ourselves more than anything else.
Thank you.
Saira, I think that one of the greatest transforming experiences that I have had with Swami is marriage. I got married when I was 31, so it was all about I. Then when Swami performed or blessed my marriage, the I went to we. And then when children came, it went to we. And then Swami said, before marriage there is two. After marriage there should be one. The problem is, which one? The initial adjustment period of marriage was very challenging and difficult for me. And often my wife and I would have daily quarrels. But on the 16th of December, after I had gotten married on the 24th of November 1991, on the 16th of December 1991, Swami grants what I call the wedding interview. And he looks at me and he said, "You, Tempa." And he looks at my wife and he says, "You, hot." And then he put his two fingers like this and he says, "Up, down, but always together." And then he begins the marriage advice. He said, marriage is 23 hours and 55 minutes of pain and 5 minutes of pleasure. He says, first 2 years, wife nice. Next 2 years, wife is knife. And then somebody told me last night, after that is the blender. So over the years, Baba has said that two souls come together in marriage in order to shatter the ego and to move from selfishness to selflessness. So this has been a very transforming experience up to this day. So I thank Bhagwan for me to confront so many things that I never knew existed had I been single. So it has been a very transformational journey within to really love selflessly. And this is only because of His grace and love. And I remember recently a good friend of mine sent me this on marriage. A little child asked his father, he said, "Daddy, how much does it cost to get married?" And the father said, "Son, I don't know, I'm still paying for mine." And I think this sums up Swami's teachings on marriage, this particular one. A friend sent me this one, and it talks about his shattering my Swami as well. Before marriage, man is incomplete. After marriage, he is finished. Jai Sai Ram.
If you look at the relationship anywhere, I'm just this out of the point, I want to make some other point, but they are like two stones. They rub against each other, and then slowly at the end of the day they become smooth. But again, you have to use your wisdom. The other stone is coming very force, you just have to get out of it. You break. So the transforming experience, say for example, whatever he's saying is, whatever the goal of the transforming experience should be to reach God. To be with Him all the time. That's a pure law. So how to express the love? That used to be like a big question. Like I said, when you listen to the Swami scriptures, listen to the so many quotations, I used to get confused. I said, oh my God. By the time I practice one, I forget the, I learn new one, I forget the old one, it just keep going. So then I said, okay. I thought, if you look at the Satya Harishchandra, a king in the Indian king, he said that he became very famous by following just one thing, truth. Speak truth, speak truth. Meera, who became famous just by following just one thing, bhakti, 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 bhakti. I said, okay. And then I said, okay, I'm a physician. I'm not practicing entire medicine. I'm practicing only the nephrology. But I know a little bit about everything else. So they said that, okay, let me pick up just one thing, and then the rest of the things fall in place. That made me sense. Then I said, okay, let me think about that. I thought of, speak truth. That's very difficult because this is, Swami says speak truth pleasantly, speak unpleasant truth pleasantly. That's very difficult for me. So I said, okay, I'm not going to go there. So I said, selfless service. That's something, I don't know, I said, it looks like something which is easier for me to do. That's something like in 2000. And I think that's the one thing which has really helped me because you pick up one thing, you're focused on just on one thing. So it is like a ocean, to be with the Swami all the time, to enjoy his bliss, prema, pure love, everything in the life. It's like a ocean. That's what saying is. Like that's like when you enjoy the pure love all the time, that means you are liberated. That's it. It's like head in the forest, hands in the society. You are liberated. That's it. But to be in that state all the time is like an ocean. To cross the ocean, you need something, and you need something like a small boat. I said, okay, let me pick this one. So what my thinking is like, and you read everything about Swami, but again, pick up one thing. It could be just lava, it could be just sarval, it could be just a pure love, it could be like, what is, you just think about, I'm going to see what Swami said, his life is his message. What is the message? Message. You think about just one aspect of that one, at the end of the day, I can guarantee you will be with the Swami.
Thank you so much. Your comments have been absolutely incredible, and I think we've gained so much today from our panelists. And can we give them a great hand?